In this video, we'll walk you through how to troubleshoot your bot when you're running into problems with an API call.
Okay, let's troubleshoot some API calls. So I have here a simple bot that just asks the user to pick an animal and then displays the results and then calls an API endpoint, in this case google.com, with the type of the animal that they picked. So to give you a quick intro, let me clear that, say hi. So it asks the type of animal, I'll say panda, then it returns panda, and then it says, sorry, an error occurred, please try again later. So this is because I'm calling an API that doesn't exist. In this case, google.com, and sending information that it doesn't ask for, which is the type of animal. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I would do if I have this kind of issue. First of all, the first thing I would do is normally your bots will be a little bit more complicated than this. So I would create a standard node like this, and I would just try to dumb it down as much as possible to see the problem. So I would then click add a card like this, click execute code, and then I would take my code basically and I would paste it here, but then I would change the value so that it's the same. So here I'm just gonna do call, let me see what I had here. I had call https google.com and send the type of animal as payload. Okay, so I'll just take this, copy it, paste it here, press enter. Okay, let me have a quick look at this. There's a little bug here. Let me retry. Let me copy this, paste it. Okay, there you go, it's working. So we're calling this endpoint, so google.com, and we're sending a payload like this. It's not gonna work, but that's intentional. That's the starting point, right? If it was working, you wouldn't be watching this video. Okay, so we start with this here, then we hook it up with start. I usually just do this temporarily because it's just easier to control the conversation. And then the next thing we need to do is type of animal. We need to set it manually. So you can just click this, click add card, execute code, and then we can say, let me click this because there's a bug. Hello, here. Set the type of animal to bear. Let's say this. Press enter. It didn't work. Press here. Oh, because I clicked this accidentally. Press enter. This. Okay, perfect. Very simple code, but like this, you don't need to write the code. Okay, so I'm gonna close that. So now we set the animal to bear, and then we reuse our same code that we had before. I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna reset the conversation by clicking this button, type hi, and it says, sorry, an error occurred, please try again. This is just from the knowledge base. To disable that, you can go into agents, knowledge, and disable it like that. I restart just to show you. Okay, and now we just have this message. All right, now this message occurs because we have an error in our response. If you don't have that, it's possible that your API call is succeeding. It's just that you're either not handling it right, or the service that you're using is not handling it right, either or. Okay, but back to here. Okay, so we send this, we do this. Now the nice thing we can do is we can click the hi message here, and then you see on the bottom left, it says trigger, set the type of animal to bear. So this is what's happening in the conversation. But because we started at the very beginning, we can easily find it. We don't need to go through a whole bunch of unrelated things. And in our case, the interesting thing here is the third one. So we click that. And so you see that this label here would be the same as what you find here. But if you do it like this, it should be the third. Okay, so this shows you what's happening in the execute code. And if you do an API call, it will show up here. So in this case here, we see that we did a post request. You don't need to care about that, but it's a request to this URL. We're getting an error of 405, which means an error. Anything that starts with a 4 is an error. Anything that starts with a 2 means it was successful. Then you can see the request. So any information that you pass will appear here. So you can use this to make sure you're sending the information that you want to send. And then the response here. Now this response, it just says there's an error and this is HTML, because if you were to open this, it would show you this error in the browser. But normally if it succeeds, you would find something that looks like your response in here, right here. Okay, the first thing is I would make sure that this URL is correct. The next thing I would check if this request information or payload is correct. If they both appear to be correct, but you're still getting an error, it's probably not a problem with Botpress. If you really want to confirm that and you're a developer, you can click this here, request bin, click this. If you really want to confirm whether the problem is with Botpress or not, you can click request bin right here. If you really want to confirm that the error is not with Botpress, you can open up a service called request bin. So just Google request bin like this, open it up, click create a request bin, sign in with whatever. Okay, so once you have your request bin here, it automatically generates it. You have this fancy link right here, and you click this to copy it. It says waiting for events, so it's got nothing. You go back to Botpress Studio, you click your execute card, open that up, and then click this to allow edit. Okay, and then where it says URL here, just change it to this Pipedream URL. Request bin was purchased by Pipedream, so it's the same thing. And then close it, restart the conversation, say hello again. And what this does is it sends the data to this service. This service acts like a free mailbox for an API. So we can see here that we got the post request. So I would click that. And where it says body here, I would open this, and there's your information, okay? But you also have headers here in case you have any problems with your headers. So if you have something that says you're not authenticated as a response, so if you go back here, I click this, I go here, obviously now it's working, so you have a 200. But if we go back to our example where it wasn't working, here it might say like you're not authenticated properly, or you're missing a header or something. That's usually just a way to prove that you are who you are and that you're allowed to access this API. So when you click this, open it up, you're probably just missing a header. If you are, just ask execute code to add it somehow. Oh, I can show you. This is an advanced tutorial, so let's do that. I'm going to click here, top left, then chatbot settings, variables. Now this is going to be a dummy variable, but let's just call it, let's say authentication. Let's say, like some services will say something like you're missing X, no, it's not liking the dash, X authentication username. I don't know, every service would have something different, but yeah, you can give this a random username and then it might say X authentication password, some random string. You'd have to get this from your service, paste it here, click done. Then you would go back here, and then I would just, because I'm lazy, I'm going to have AI generate this. Make sure to add authentication into the headers. All right, hopefully this will work. I need to click this to reactivate it. That auth token, okay. I think it's too generic, so it doesn't know. Normally, if you use an API from a well-known service, it would just add it because it has already, it understands the docs of your service, so it would add it automatically. But with my example, it doesn't work. But yeah, so you could add it like this, and then in request bin here, you can see your body here. So either the payload is just the data that's being sent. So if you can see this here, and if you can see the correct headers, there's a problem with your service, and it's not with Botpress. If not, if you actually pass the right parameters here, so the right headers and the right payload, and you can't find it here, then there might be a problem, and you can contact us via Discord. So we're always happy to help on Discord. All right, I think that's it. Hopefully that will be enough to troubleshoot, I don't know, 80% of your API issues really quickly. All right, thanks for watching.